ever. All right, let's get this show on the road. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you and you and you and you and you and you may be in this world. Holy smokers, did Dish have a show today? Woo! What a bunch of cards that we got. So much to talk about. Welcome in, everyone, to episode number 3 of the Hawk Report as we go back into the future. And in just a minute, I will bring YourKidnies on. And boy, I hope he has his orange vest and jean jacket and leather jacket ready to go. I feel like Doc Brown this morning, trying to get everything organized and get slides ready for this show. Woo! What a morning. I feel like I need a nap already, guys. I really do. Like Dish just the energy and the cards and the Jackie Robinson material. Woo! Yeah, like I said, it feels like it's been a day already. So hopefully you guys have the day off because we have so much content. After I finish streaming, there's other streamers coming on. Get your drops and hopefully pull some good cards out of those packs today. Yes, today, wow, again, I can't believe how much material we have to cover, but we'll have different segments. We've got the kidneys and lap beginner's guide. We always like to go through some beginner's thing. We'll have the look back at the week that was and maybe some things that stood out for us last week that we kind of missed the week before. What are our cards of the set? Which cards do we think really are the gems of today's set? And it doesn't have to be a perfect card. It can be other cards as well. And the Generation Showdown. Yeah, we're going to have part 2 of the Generation Showdown. I won't mention 17-9, what happened last week with our cards, but yeah, 17-9. It was quite the showdown last week. We'll pull some packs again with these new cards in. And of course, what you all have been waiting for a little bit later, the Kidneys 2-minute rant. We will see what YourKidnies has to rant about today. But first, again, so many new users. Dish had over 600, sometimes up to 640 people watching today. And I know some of them were new users. Yeah, some of them are probably alt accounts and people with different Twitch accounts logging in. But hey, we've got some beginners too. And maybe even some people that are first time to OOTP. They've come across this stream and say, hey, who is that crazy guy with the hat and the crazy shirt? But Doc Brown, this would be a shirt Doc Brown would wear. So I had to put it on today. I mean, I don't have EDC's wardrobe of Doc Brown shirts, so I only have a limited number to choose from. But if you are new to OOTP, we've got so much in terms of exciting news, including the release yesterday. I think we might have a new record for global warming yesterday at about noon Eastern Standard Time, with everyone exhaling a sigh of relief that OOTP Go is finally available. Just a collective, whew, thank you. Now I can play the game even more. OOTP Go. So yes, OOTP Go is available. Get it from the App Store, Apple, Google Play, and also go to the OOTP main site here. Let me put it in the chat. If you haven't been there before, this is the place that you should start with as a beginner. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you can get connected to the Discord. You can go to the OOTP forum, and if you need to buy the game, you can go right on the website there and buy your Steam copy, buy your Fast Spring coffee. Yeah, I need 3 of these today. Yeah, been quite the morning already. And you can go onto the forums here and find out anything you want about this year's version of the game, the hockey version of the game, even dating way back to, what is it, OOTP 19? They've got archives for the last 4 years. And the man himself, the man with the guitar, the man with the podcast voice, Richard Grisham, puts out OOTP Now, which are different podcasts. Last one is March the 9th. Again, I'm assuming very, very quickly we will have a new podcasts coming out. And you can download these. You can listen to these on your favorite podcast device. And a really good information. Rich talks with developers like Matt Arnold, Will Bae, talks with Paul Sporer. Just again, a different look at OOTP than what you might see on the forums or on the Discord. So good evening to all of you. Thank you all for joining in. Cubs fans, Steve, Erie GM, Andy from Sheffield, Gabagoo, Luigi, Dishnet is here, Lowly Worm. Thank you guys for joining in. Yes, we will be doing our regular giveaway as well, so stay tuned until the end of the stream, and we will give away some packs, and I'm hoping you can pull some of today's cards in those packs. So 2 of you will win some packs, 1 will win 10 packs, 1 will win 5 packs. Thank you to OOTP and the team for allowing me to do these giveaways and give back to the community. All right. It's time. It's time to bring in the star who was recently cast in Back to the Future 4. Give a warm welcome to the one, the only. YourKidnies is back on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, dude. This is a lot of fun. These are always been, over the past few years of covering Out of the Parks content, my favorite sets to cover. There's always some really unique cards with crazy position flexibility, pitchers that hit, all sorts of really fun things. So this is also probably the hardest sets for me to cover because there's so much going on. I had a card show up in like 6 or 7 different positions in bronze for me, and I was like, where do I even start, to talk about new stuff? But that's the fun part. There's really just too much to even go over right now. I mean, we'll hit some highlights for you guys, and we'll have to pick and choose where we go, but there's a lot of really interesting things here today, so it'll be a lot of fun.
And Kidneys and I were chatting this morning. We were chatting last night, and this is the adrenaline set, isn't it? It's just so much to get prepared for, and within 15 minutes of dish finishing, getting everything ready, and your eyes are like, usually we have 10, 15 cards, and we can absorb it all at a nice kind of calm kind of pace, and this one here, it just boom, 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 and 69 cards in the set, plus the Jackie Robinson cards. It's going to take a few days, isn't it, Kidneys, to really digest what we have here.
I totally agree. I'm already asking different people with some different models what they think. People are all over the place still with what they want to say about that. There's so much stuff. I remember, I think it was Out of the Park 22, DRC and I, when we were covering content, Snaggle J did all 150 cards on stream, and we followed it up by doing all 150 cards on our stream, and DRC was reading like the biography of every player, and we went till about 3 in the morning. It was a great time. It's always so much fun when we get these giant sets, and everything is now changing, right? It's great. So.
Yeah. Well, as I like to do, Kidneys, before we get to, we do have a lot to cover, but we gotta do a little bit of an icebreaker, like we do every show, just to kind of get in the flow of things, get in the rhythm of the things. And again, for those of you just joining, if this is your first Hawk Report, you can go back and check the archives, the video on demand, and check the first 2 where we talked about the build a lineup cards. And Kidneys and I are from different generations again. We're from different time periods. That's why this is Back to the Future. We got the young, we got the old, and whatever generation you are from, probably not too many from the greatest generation, who grew up during the wars and the Great Depression. Then we got that silent generation, the baby boomers, grew up in the 50s and 60s. My generation, Generation X. And then we got the millennials, or Generation Y. And then we got Kidneys and Generation Z. So again, we have some years between us. We have some, and I have to ask, Kidneys, have you ever seen Back to the Future?
I've seen the first one. I have not seen the other ones. I've heard varying things about how high quality the other ones are from different people. I rather enjoyed the first one. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, before we get to the cards, we are going to do a little bit of a generation or a Zoomer test. I'm going to call this the SAT, the Zoomer SAT test. I've got 10 questions for you, and I want to see how many of the 10 you can get. So number one, these are all things that Gen X's and baby boomers will know. Kidneys, what is this? What is this, kidneys? This is your stat exam.
I'm not looking at chats on my other monitor. I have no clue. To me, it looks like some sort of vault door, and that's about all I got. That's all I got.
All right. Well, people in the chat, there we go. Don't give him the answer before he gives his answers. But yes, we had something in our day, kidneys, called 45s. Records, vinyl records.
Oh,
and
yeah.
In the middle of the 45s, you'd have to put one of these adapters in so it would fit on your record player, unlike the regular size vinyl LPs. So there we go. Oh for 1. Okay, kidneys, we got some tough ones right off the bat here. All right. When I grew up, and many Gen Xers grew up, this was a very popular, made for TV. I'm going to ask you, what is the name of this, or what is the little jingle that went along with this device?
I don't know. So it's a clap switch, right? And we still have them. Not a lot of people have them, but they still exist. I'm assuming this is kind of like a popular brand of one. I love how it says clap it on and then clap it off. It's not a clap it, is it?
Oh, you're so close. So close. It is. What is it, chat? What was this thing from the 70s and from the 80s? Dish still knows the jingle today. It is the clapper. Yes. Clap on, clap off, the clapper. And then we'd have, some elderly people sitting on their couch and going like that, and they would turn their lights off. And yes, this was one of those made for the TV, clap on and clap off. Okay, well, you're going to redeem
before these remotes? Is that why we needed this? Yeah.
I think so. If you look at the TVs in the image here, it looks like it might be before remotes.
Just a little bit.
Next, we've got, a lot of us had these back in the 80s. Can you tell me what this does?
To me, just based on those sunglasses, and I don't know if that's supposed to be a handle or like headphones, like it's supposed to be cool. I'm guessing this is something to cool like a can of Coke, but it's rather funny looking, and I greatly approve of it.
Well, again, you Gen Xers out there, you boomers out there, let's give kidneys the answer. What was the purpose? What did this do? Yeah, Mr. Devil Dog has it. It is the dancing can, kidney. You would turn on your Yeah, well, you would turn on your radio, and the music would be absorbed by the can, and the can would shake around, and it would dance, and it would twist and crinkle and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly like Chasten Ruin says, it's like the fish that sings. Have you ever seen those fish?
Yes, yeah. I have. I've seen people do some very interesting things with those fish.
Well, we're still kind of a PG plus channel here. Okay. This one you'll get. This is definitely something a Zoomer should get because it's part of pop culture. Who is this person? Who is this character?
I'm pretty sure. Oh my gosh, if I get this wrong, people are gonna go crazy. This is Eminem, right?
Eminem is a good guess. It is a good
Eminem. I think in one of his videos, he replicates this video, and I think that's what's confusing me.
It is Max Headroom. Have you ever heard of Max Headroom?
No, not
No?
once.
Okay. After the show today, go to YouTube, Google Max Headroom, and it's this animated computer character that, repeats a lot of things. Yes, big in the 80s. Music videos, had his own music video too. He had his own song that was a top 100 Billboard song. Max Headroom.
Wow. I'm pretty sure Eminem does this in one of his videos, and I think that's where I got that from. But I'm looking at him and I go, "That's not Eminem in the picture." But
Okay. Well, we're not off to a good start, but you can run the table here pretty quickly, kidneys. Next, we've got when we were in school as Gen Xers and baby boomers, maybe even, we were given these probably once every couple weeks, once every month, where we could order books. The Berenstain Bears and How Do I Love My Dinosaurs and Roar. Which company was famous for putting out these into the schools?
if it's not the one I know, I'm gonna be very sad because I went to book fairs for these. I went to Scholastic book fairs.
Hey, ding, 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 ding. We've got one. Yes, it is the Scholastic books. Yes, I'm sure most of us remember those. And it was always exciting, ordering them. And then your teacher would bring in this box of books. And there you go. There's your newest Garfield book or whichever one you ordered. Okay, now you're getting warmed up. You've got one. Got a couple more to go. Growing up, in the 90s as a Gen Xer, many of us may have, I don't want to give anything away, but may have become very familiar with this logo. Do you know what this logo is from?
You said in the 90s?
Yeah, 90s, early 2000s.
I have absolutely no idea.
All right, well, we've got a few spoilers there. Have you ever heard of Napster?
I have heard of Napster.
Napster, yes. Napster is kind of like a torrent kind of site, the very first ones where you could download a song every 3 hours because of the 56K modem that you had. And if you were rural, you'd leave it on overnight and maybe you'd get 2 songs from an album by the time you woke up. But, some of us here may have or may not have used this, but it was a way to get educational listening availability to different music. We'll just put it that way. Okay. Next up.
So when I was growing up, if I want to make everybody feel really old, when I started getting interested in music, we already had iTunes. iTunes had just came out. So
okay, well, speaking of electronics, how old were you when your parents got you your first cell phone?
I had a really, really basic, really terrible phone that I shared with my brother who's 18 months older than me. And we would just if one of us went somewhere, we would take the phone. And I think I might have been 10 and he was 12 when we had it because we would start going and doing sports things or stuff like that without our parents. So
okay. All right. So you're 1 in 5 right now, but hey, you can knock off the next 4 here. Speaking of phones, one of my first phones was a Nokia. A lot of us, Gen Xers probably had Nokias, and then we had the flip phones. But before Candy Crush and Marvel Snap, this was the most popular cell phone game. Do you know what the name of that cell phone game is?
I don't. It's really funny to me because the only thing I know that kind of looks like this is Pong, but it's not Pong. It looks like you're trying to catch the thing. I'm not really sure. I don't
we
know.
have it in the chat.
Oh, I do know. I didn't recognize it. Of course, I know Snake is.
Snake, yes.
This did not seem to be Snake to me. I don't know why, but I know what Snake is for sure.
Yeah.
I played Snake on my phone.
Well, there you go. We'll give that one to you then. We'll give it to you. Yeah, that was probably still the most popular cell phone game ever.
I'm trying to think what I had on my phone. I had a few other things. I had this terrible car racing game. I might have had Tetris. Might have. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there were some pixelated little games that you could play. Some with mazes and things like that, and almost like Pong kind of games that you could play. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right. 3 more to go. What is the official name for this type of phone? What do we call these type?
It's a rotary phone.
Hey! Ding, ding, ding. Yes, it is a rotary phone. Now, did you ever grow up having rotary phones in your home?
No, I'm trying to remember. I would have been so little. I think we had wireless phones very, very early on. because we talked on the phone a lot with a lot of different people. And so I'm pretty sure we had very early wireless phones. I mean, also to be fair, both my parents were programmers at IBM, so we were super like ahead of tech times with almost everything. So we definitely never had a rotary phone. I'm trying, maybe when I was really little, we had a phone with a cord.
I remember back, and many baby boomers and Gen Xers will remember back to party lines. Kidneys, just be glad you didn't live in the days of party lines where you would have a whole section of a community with one phone line. And so you'd pick up the phone and someone else from a different household might be talking. And you'd have to kind of wait until they were done, until you could have your turn. And they knew if you were listening, because there would be a little click and they would go, "Hey, John from down the street, get the you-know-what off the phone." Yes, the party lines.
With the wireless ones, we had a pair, and sometimes we would either have multiple people on, or we'd be listening in as little kids because it was funny or whatever. So
yeah. Okay, 2 more. Well, again, back to electronics. Many of us, before we had the boom boxes and things like that, many of us didn't have iPhones and iPads and iTunes. We had these. What are these, Kidneys?
It's a radio, right?
Yeah, but it's a specific type.
Specific type. Oh, come on! I thought I was gonna get away with just saying radio.
Something you could put in your pocket.
Oh, it's that small. Okay, I didn't realize that. I don't know. The only thing I know, like the first like little pocket thing, I'm thinking Walkman, but that's probably not it.
Yeah, it was before the Walkman. It was the transistor radio. You heard of the transistors? You'd hold it up to you.
I've not actually heard of this. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the last one, I know you're, a math wizard and you like to crunch numbers. Well, when I was in school, we would crunch numbers on very early calculators. And if you had one of these, you were one of the cool kids in class. Can you tell me the name of this calculator from the 80s? And no, not the abacus.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was just about to make the joke about the abacus, and this isn't an abacus.
Hey now, nope.
I've never seen one of these in my entire life. It looks very fun. Never ever seen one of these before, no.
It was fun, and it was called the Professor. And, as a young kid, if you put certain digits in there, you could spell certain words. And a lot of kids, when we were in elementary school, would have fun creating words out of numbers.
Lots of great words.
Lots of great words.
Only wholesome, very nice words.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like hello. You could put hello in there. Yeah, exactly.
You do lead. Chat's got some other words they're suggesting that we can't say. I do think it was very funny because even when I had first started doing math in school, like most of the textbooks are a bit older and stuff, and they would be like, you need to learn how to do this because you're not going to have a calculator with you at all times. Well, what they know.
So the fun the kids had with calculators back in the day. Well, Kidneys, that just kind of goes to show again the Zoomer Gen X kind of different generation gap. A lot of things that were so common to me and others my age, you guys just don't get it. You just don't understand. And I'm sure you could do the same thing. I'm sure you could say, "Hey, lap," and you could give me some slang word and I go, "What kind of language are you speaking, Kidneys?"
I think if we're gonna continue doing these, it's definitely got to go both ways. I gotta show
absolutely,
real Zoomer level experience here.
Absolutely. I will embarrass myself by, you can show me like FAM and say, "Okay, lap, what does this translate to?" And I'll go like familiar, you got 3 out of 10. That's very good. That's very good for a Zoomer. All right. Thanks, Kidneys, for that icebreaker. Always a lot of fun comparing the different generation gaps, and feel free, to come up with your own quiz because I will just humiliate myself. All right, let's get on to the program, the beginner's guide. So let's, one thing I asked Kidneys to kind of give an idea for beginners getting into the game and they're building their team. What should I be looking for a catcher, for a shortstop? We're going to focus on catcher and shortstop, two key positions for your perfect team. And as a new person to the game, they look, well, it's defense. Should I just go all defense? Should I go, all home runs and offense? Someone just starting out. We're not talking someone in diamond or gold or perfect, but someone just starting out that wants to get an understanding of the type of catcher that they should be looking for. The guy that one game is on the line and you want him in your lineup, and then the guy that's kind of on the cheap, a guy that you can get on the card shop fairly low that's going to help your team. What do you think for catchers?
So I think for catchers, I'll talk a bit more broad strategy because I think most of the people who are like regulars will know the obvious. When we're looking at catchers right now, there's very little that I don't look at. And I think, especially in regards to league play, like we've talked about tournaments, BABIP's really playing down. So Power and I, respectively, are much more powerful in the current meta. But like talking about league play where everything's still very relevant, there's pretty much no rating you really want to ignore. Obviously, they're not all completely equal. Really, I just don't look at sack bunt because it's like the only thing that I don't personally use. And Hoyles is so strong because he just has a crazy 3 true outcomes bat, and he's got abilities. So ability is, it lets your pitchers kind of turn balls and strikes into the better outcomes or worse outcomes if it's bad at framing. So framing is a big deal. Arm is still a big deal. People steal too much and they need to be thrown out when they do so accordingly. His bat is crazy, right? Like even comparing the Garver on the screen to the Chris Hoyles, they're roughly the same bat, and Hoyles is like 40 more abilities. So he's a pretty no-brainer. If I had to play any catcher in the game, I'm going with Mike Napoli right now. I'm a huge fan of that card. But Chris Hoyles is a live series, Baltimore 2 reward, very cheap card, plays in a bunch of cap tournaments. I'd be very happy to go get one of those.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking too. The Hoyles Garver, if you want that power, that kind of cheap card. Hoyles being, like you said, a little level higher, and then Napoli, that go-to guy. One game on the line for the whole thing, you're going with Napoli. Okay, let's shift our gears to shortstops. And same thing. Who is that one guy you're going to have in the lineup for the World Championship game? And then who are some of the cheaper ones that you can get that will help your team?
There's a few interesting options right now. Let me just double check because there's one of the cards today. I don't remember if he's actually eligible. He's not. So it depends on defense. Defense is a big deal at shortstop. Anybody who knows baseball knows defense is really important. The thing that you need to remember is that defense, again, is not the only rating on the card. It's not the only thing that matters, right? There's a whole ton of very relevant ratings, and who cares if the guy's the best glove in the game if he can't hit? Most of the time, it's not going to work out well enough for you. So at shortstop, there's a few guys I'm pretty big on right now. If you want all glove, you could go with like the tournament Dick Bartell. Some of the cheaper options that are all glove will probably be okay, like a Bob Ferguson. The more expensive options, I like some of the non-pure gloves, which would be like the new Willie Wells, Tony Phillips, and John Valentin are my favorites. But you're really looking for a mix of things, right? I think too often people just get caught up on, I have to have the best glove. And that is a little true as like the meta gets more refined and there's kind of these breakpoints where it's like, well, if you have 5 range less than the average shortstop, you're a really bad shortstop, In general, looking at defense, range is normally more important than some of the other things. So if a card is like, a really high defensive rating, but it has kind of lower range, it's probably not as good. That'd kind of be what I look for, that stuff. But again, don't just go all glove all the time. Like if you're playing like a Dull Maxville or a Tommy Thevnow in bronze, the cards you have on screen, like the Woody Held, I think is a pretty decent example. Wait, is that the right Woody? There's 2 Woodies. I always confuse them. Hold on. Yes, the Woody Held and like Herman Long are the really good examples for me of like what I want in the low tier shortstop, right? Which is a pretty good glove, but also a pretty good bat, So.
And again, someone that's just in the entry pool and rookie league, they can use these bronze shortstops and find some success in them. Once you get, into, silver and bronze and gold, you're going to have to obviously upgrade to get that performance. I used Maury Wills, and surprisingly, he was my best in terms of stolen bases. This card steals some bases for me. And I think for one stretch in rookie league, he was like 15 steals and not thrown out once. And I did crank up his stealing a little bit. Again, his average was only about 233. He was okay as a defender. He was kind of just above zero in his own rating. But man, the stolen bases from this bronze card was pretty good for me.
I think, I forgot a big name. So I think, like, if you're at a low level, right, you can compete with some very cheap cards. Don't go buy a very expensive card that's not the best card in the game. I see a lot of new players make that mistake. The way Out of the Park works, if you don't have the best card at a position, unless you're like imperfect trying to win, it's probably not worth spending. There's a lot of cheaper guys that'll just get the job done fine. You'll make the playoffs, you'll get promoted, and you can focus on like improving tournaments, making more money. So like one of those cards who's, again, decent bat, decent glove is like Bill Hall. The silver Bill Hall card I put in all sorts of cap teams. It's a lower defensive shortstop rating, but it's 94 range. It hits for power. So like, if you're just playing a league team at a lower level, you just want a decent passable guy. You don't need to like get one of these diamond cards that's probably not going to last a month. So go get like a Bill Hall or a Bob Ferguson would be my advice for those kind of players.
Okay, and who was the one winner take all game shortstop that you're going to put in if you have them, other than the cards from today?
Other than the cards from today, I would play Tony Phillips. The kind of thing about Tony Phillips is also, other than the cards from today, Tony Phillips is probably the best second baseman. So you kind of got to pick where to put him, right? Like that.
All right. Yeah, good. Well, before we continue on, I want to give a big shout out to Chess Safari. Chess Safari, who just gifted 5 subscriptions to the community. Thank you so much, Chess Safari, for giving those gifts and giving them to people of the community. And thanks for supporting the channel and being part of this great OOTP community. So just kind of wanted to mention that before we move forward, because that's a huge deal when someone from the community reaches out like that and supports us affiliates and streamers and gifts those out. So thank you so much, Chess Safari, for doing that. All right, let's move on and talk about the week that was, taking a look back at a card, a situation. And I'm going to go first on this one, something that, I look back on last week. And here's where I have to give props to Kidneys, because Kidneys always talks about high power, high eye on batters, the home run, the pitcher BABIP on pitchers. So a few days ago in my perfect draft, and I might have done this one on stream too, I said, I'm only going to draft those criteria: high power eye for hitters and home run and BABIP for pitchers. And now every round, you're not going to be able to get studs for each of them, but I kind of crafted my lineup with those criteria in mind. And as you can see, went all the way to the finals, didn't have to face any game 7s, and won the finals and a high diamond card 4-1 using your strategy. Now, that was a week ago, and it's something you've been talking about pretty much since OOTP 24 came out. Are you still on board with high power eye for batters and high home run pitcher BABIP for pitchers?
I am. A few things have shifted just as more data has come in. I mean, certainly the problem is when BABIP being suppressed in tournaments right now, right, is that it takes about probably more than half the ratings off a hitter, right? Because Avoid K is there to boost BABIP, Gap is also there to boost BABIP, and defense even is to prevent BABIP, right? So it kind of really shortens the picture on hitters. Pitchers is a little interesting to me. I've started leaning more towards actually the higher pitcher BABIP cards, even over some of the like really high home run cards. there's kind of a diminishing return on home run, it seems like right now. And so like you'll get a lot more if like your pitcher is like 80 home run than if he in like 100 pitcher BABIP than if he was the other way around. Kind of there's a few other questions with pitchers. I'm really unsure on pitchers still. Like, is control good? Is stuff good? What ratios of what? I don't really know. I think as long as you're not picking the guys who are lower PBABIP and like lower home run, you're probably doing it pretty well.
And then what about stuff? Do you even look at stuff for a pitcher, or are you just focused on the home run and pitcher BABIP?
I do. It's sort of something I need to flesh out a little bit. It certainly still does matter. The question is, right, so for a lot of people, if you didn't play last year, you weren't super into it in previous years, stuff was how we limited hitters getting hits before pitcher BABIP, right? Because if they strike out, they can't get a hit. It's kind of how the game processes things to our understanding. And so I don't really know if it's like, is it redundant with pitcher BABIP? Is it adding on and even more strong against contact hitters? Is there going to be a point where people stop finally picking the BABIP hitters because they're not doing well? And then maybe pitcher BABIP is worth less and stuff is worth less because that's not the strength of the meta. It just got to kind of see how it plays out. Not like, I think stuff is certainly a good thing. I think people who ignore it, like what I said earlier with the catchers, there's almost nothing on a card you want to ignore, except, again, sack bunt, just because I don't like sack bunting as a strategy, right? Like, even hold runners, one of my big things last year was hold runners actually really important, and people like to make fun of the rating. It's actually a big deal, especially with cards like Paul Derringer was like the best pitcher in the game last year. He had one hold runner. So whenever someone threw Paul Derringer at me, I turned up my stolen base sliders, and I won a lot of games that way, so...
And Andy from Sheffield, Andy was Luke, asked about the sliders for pitch around. Now, usually a lot of these pitchers that you're taking have low control if they have, high blue in the other areas. And for me, I kind of move mine. It depends on the pitchers I've drafted, but maybe 2 or 3, to the left. I don't notch them all the way down. I don't leave them exactly on even. Kind of, anywhere between 1, 2, or 3. I move mine to the left. But I think, Kidneys, that really depends on the pitchers you drafted, correct?
It depends on quite a few things. So I will say as well, like if you're in a perfect draft and it doesn't say modern, I'm not touching almost any slider if I can. They seem to have a little bit different effects depending on the era. I mean, that would include pitch around. And I've had some people tell me that in like early testing, pitch around's just very good on almost everybody. I haven't. Last year, one of the first things I did was like go over all the sliders and to see. I certainly wouldn't turn it down globally. It definitely needs to be a pitcher by pitcher basis if you're gonna adjust it. And I most of the time with sliders like to avoid the extremes. So when we talk about sliders, 0 is the middle, right? As Snailman says, when in doubt, middle it out, right? 0 is the middle. All the way to the left, which is going to be right on stream, is -5. All the way the other way is +5. I would leave it in the middle if you're unsure. People a lot of times to me come with slider questions. Most of the time, you're probably just letting the game run kind of how it's intended. There's exceptions, right? Like I don't like sack bunting as a strat. I don't think stealing is profitable, so I'm not going to steal bases, right?
Yeah, and I think most of my sliders are kind of right in the middle as well. So not touching too much, with them at this point. So you're looking back at the week. You had a card that you wanted to talk about that, has impressed you over the last little while. So tell us a little bit about what you like about Bob Ellison.
This card is awesome. I'm running it a little bit less now, but it's just because I have a lot more cards now. However, VL, it's one of the best hitters in the game in this tournament environment we're living in. And it plays good defense. Again, we're talking a little bit about range being a little better. This is an 80, 82 range outfielder. So while he's listed as a first base, this card plays all 3 outfield positions and crushes left-handed pitching. He's serviceable versus right-handed pitching. And for a diamond card, he's pretty cheap, and he plays like in, low diamond, open diamond, and all of those caps that include those cards. I'm a huge fan of this card and its flexibility. He's also nice because you can like put him in left or right field, and he can even back up center in some scenarios. I just think this is a super well-priced, reasonable, well-rounded card. My first week of play, I put this card in like everything I could play him in, and he was fantastic. Very, very big fan of this Bob Allison.
Okay, yeah. Again, there's that high power and high I. Bailey asks about the hit and run. I leave my hit and run pretty much right in the middle. Like I don't play around with the hit and run. But any kind of comment about the hit and run slider, or does it really depend on the type of tournament?
I think maybe not the type of tournament as much as the era. Again, I'm very hesitant to touch things in certain eras unless I've literally gone into the base game and tested them. I hit and run in previous Out of the Parks, I think, is actually a lot stronger than people think because it almost makes the batter swing in a sense. So there's a lot of kind of special bat profiles. I could probably talk a lot about this. That would be better hit and running. The downside is then you're running, right? And we've talked a lot about how stolen bases, you get thrown out too much. Not realistically too much, but like too much just for it to be valuable because of how runs are scored and things, right? And so it's kind of a trade-off, right? And there's probably certain players you do want it on. I don't really play with it a lot. I just kind of leave it in the middle most of the time. So
okay. And looking back again, it's been a week now since the build a lineup bronze and silver cards came out. And at the time, you really liked some of the relievers, some of the pitchers, a lot of the hitters, kind of maybe not so much. But now that it's been a week, Kidneys, anything in retrospect you want to say about the build a lineup cards?
Yes, I think so. I think outside of Ted Simmons, I've seen one of the silvers or bronzes for every single one of these cards be pretty decent somewhere. George Davis is a bit weird because I think like if BABIP wasn't being suppressed, he's a really good card. But there's pretty much all these cards in some way on one of the two levels are playable, which is really fun. It added a lot of variety, I think, to bronze and silver meta and to perfect drafts. Of course, love seeing a lot of these cards in perfect drafts. So I think overall it was pretty good. I think maybe a bit better than when I first eyeballed it. I think too. There's definitely some good cards in the mix here. It'll be interesting. Again, I love looking at these profiles now and being like, oh, how is this guy gonna look when he's a diamond or a perfect card, right? That's for me, that's the fun part too. So
and have you worked any of these into bronze tournaments or silver tournaments? Are they playable in the current tournaments that are available for bronze or silver?
There definitely some of them are. Robin Roberts plays at any tournament in 1919. He's one of the best pitchers in the game because home runs just really don't happen. For bronze card, Mickey Lolik, Chipper Jones, Ben Zobrist are some really top tier options. Even Gary is okay. For silver, the silver Chipper is crazy versus lefties. Also, a little bit of a fan of the silver Beltran in center. The silver Berkman is like a first base DH. Those are probably some of like the premium cards that we got last week. So,
okay. Well, let's delve into some of the new cards this week, cards that weren't around. And we do have a break coming up in about a minute and a half, one of our hard breaks, and then we'll come back and cover the Negro Leagues. But just in, a minute and a half here, what do you have to say about the two kind of special cards, the specialty cards, the Dan Pasqua and the Christian Yelich that Plus members got?
They're really good. Very different reasons. Very good cards. Pasqua, I think, is excellent in a corner outfield in silver VR. Again, a lot of power, a lot of eye, a lot of other little bits too. Like obviously BABIP's being suppressed, but he's still got to hit a little bit there. Defense a little low probably, but just a really solid option VR. Yelich is great. I saw a lot of people selling Christian Yelich, and I was rather confused. Like, yes, the tournament scene is very power eye heavy, but in league play, maybe the defense is too low. I certainly think, like, if you're at a lower level, you're not in Diamond right now, it's not too low at all. And the bat VR is amazing. So I was very surprised to see that card being sold, like, almost at all. I think it's a great card. Also, if tournaments get changed, we don't really know. There was a very interesting discussion in stat analysis between a bunch of people yesterday about what solutions look like, what's the root of the cause. It was great. If you like that stuff, go give it a read. If things do get changed, this would also be a good card in tournaments. Also in Dead Ball, he doesn't really have the defense, but like this is a DH level bat VR in Dead Ball, because Dead Ball, no home runs get hits. You still have to play BABIP and I think it's a very, very good card.
All right. Well, we are on to our break here, guys. We will be right back in 3 minutes. Go get a coffee, go get a beverage, go to the washroom, go hug your dog. We'll be back and talk Negro League cards in just a little bit. All right, we are back. Thank you guys for tuning in. Over 200 of you following along, and stay tuned. We've got a lot of cool things coming up. We've got our cards of today's set. We've got the Generation Showdown, and of course the 2-minute kidneys rant coming up a little bit later. And I posted in the chat the link to YourKidnies Twitch channel. If you don't follow this guy, go there now. Stop what you're doing. Click on that link. Go follow YourKidnies. A must-watch stream every time that Kidneys is on. So much information and knowledge that you can get as a beginner, intermediate, even an expert or a so-called expert player in this league, because sometimes we think we're experts and then all of a sudden we don't make the playoffs. So go follow YourKidnies right now and give him some attention when he streams, because I learned so much watching YourKidnies stream. So let's move on and talk about today's cards. And again, that was the Negro League first series, I guess, the first batch, 69 packable cards in total, and some missions that go along with them. Seem like fairly easy missions to understand. Fielders, Hurler 1, Hurler 2, and the topper for the program. And again, more Negro League players will be coming along as we get further into the cycle. So I'm going to put up a few on the screen that Kidneys will talk about, and then he's going to share his screen for some of the ones that Dish didn't get to today that he believes are cards that you might want to consider in your lineup. So the first one, Kidneys, Buck Leonard. We have Buck Leonard, a diamond card, 99. Give us your take on him.
He is a nice big bat. I'm quite happy with this card. I think he could play in quite a few things that are diamond related. Just double checking here. He's going to be really good in league. I think one of the issues, again, tournaments, power eye, blah, blah, blah. Y'all have heard it before. He's up there still VR. He's still a really solid first baseman. I might still gravitate towards Rudy York. I think Rudy York is a fantastic card. You could platoon them if you're a bit more of a believer in some of the other ratings that I am. I think in league play, if you don't have one of like the elite perfect options, this is the next best thing. It's a very, very good card.
Hey, yeah, and again, it's just that situation where there's so much out there now, so many new cards out there that you really have to kind of look, well, what kind of ballpark do you have? What are you looking for? Who do you have at that position already? Is it better? Is it worse? So, yeah, it's going to take, like I said, a while to take all this in and decide on the card you want. Of course, that being said, if you pull one of these in a pack, you're not going to complain, are you?
Oh, no, because it'll sell probably for a lot, the missions as well, so, you know.
Okay, let's move on to a pitcher, Nip Winters. Really, good stuff. Not overly splitty against the lefties or righties. And, stamina is going to get you far into the game. What do you think about Nip?
He's a good card. I think a lot of people, when I'm talking about transitioning more from a traditional perfect team knowledge of pitching, right? Home run movement has always been the big deal. It was, movement is now home run. We'd look at this card and go, oh, too many home runs are going to hit off of it. But it does seem different this year. A lot of people are gravitating, mainly the behest of Chimera, if he's watching. Shout out to him, who's a big Louis Tiant believer. Not the one released today, but the live mission reward one. And it's a very similar profile to that card. It's a little lower on some of the numbers, but I think this could be a pretty solid option in some diamond tournaments as well. Even if League, if you're missing some other cards, I think it's a pretty solid card overall.
Okay. Next up, we have Pop Lloyd, John Henry Lloyd. And we were talking off screen before this, how sometimes looks can be deceiving. And you look at this, and this may be the one card in the game so far that has the most categories, in terms of position ratings, and lots of blue, some green, some orange, some yellow. Give us your take, because I'm sure a lot of people will look at this card and go, I immediately need to get this guy. He's going to be a stud for me. I'm going to use him in my lineup all year. What do you think?
I think we're going to go back to like the beginning of stream a bit, where what we talked about earlier, right? Like, your glove has to be so good. If not, it almost is impossible, even if you are the best glove, unless you're a mile above everybody else, to be worth this kind of bat in a high tier environment, right? And I'm not really talking about the power being 30. It's more like even in league play, I think it's really hard to try and say this is my starting shortstop, because the defense is a bit lower than some of the other cards of the meta, and the bat just isn't there. I know there are a lot of people who look at this card and say like, oh, but I can play him as a backup. In Out of the Park, I think unless you're perfect drafting, and certainly you don't want to perfect draft a backup at 99, you really shouldn't have backups on your team unless it's a cap tournament. And again, that would imply that the player you're starting is the best player to start. You platoon players, right? Like, the card has to be one of the best cards, VR and VL. Maybe not necessarily the best, but good enough that he can cover multiple places and still be competitive. This doesn't really do that for me. Funny anecdote on the sack bunt. Apparently, there's no sack bunt data on some of these cards because of when they played, where they played, right? And DA186, shout out to him, another affiliate, let me know that Sporer said that they actually randomly generate this when a card doesn't have the data, and it just happened to come out as 0, which I think is incredible. It's so fun seeing a card say 100, 100, 100, 0, 100. It's crazy. I love it. I think it's great. So,
yeah, I just noticed that now. Sometimes you look and you just see all blue, and then you take a closer look and go, wait a minute, there's a gray bar there, and it says 0. How strange is that?
0, which is really funny. I'm sure Pop Lloyd was a better bunter than a 0, but we don't have the data, so I'm totally cool with that if that's the reason for it. I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm not super hyped up to get this card. Obviously, it's probably worth a lot in the mission, so maybe it's a way for you to finish the mission if that's how it works there. But not something I'm gonna be eager to start or really get. Like, a lot of times you have to think about like the cost of a card versus what it's giving you, right? Because a lot of times I'll spend a lot of money on a bronze and an iron if I'm gonna win tournaments with it, right? And a lot of people, I think, miss that. So unless this is the card that gets you, what mission is he? He's in the Turkey Stearns mission. Probably not going to do it for me, right? That's where I would say.
Yeah, and I love what you said there about, cost analysis of a card. I'm the same way. If there's an iron or bronze card and I'm playing iron or bronze tournaments, and it was like Dennis Leonard last year. Dennis Leonard came out and he was a silver, I believe, card, and he was going for 40, 50, 60, 100, 120,000 for an iron card. And yeah, there is a point where it can get a little bit too high, but I'm willing to pay 20, 25, 30,000 for a bronze card, because all it has to do is, win you 30 packs or win you 40 packs, and you kind of made that money back. And with the ace of bronze last year, winning first was 10 packs. So sometimes a card is high priced, but in the long run, it's worth it, especially the limited edition ones.
Like, I think there were people like up in arms having to pay 3,000 points for Dave Kingman on like day 5. I paid 5,000 for mine on day 1, and I probably made the difference back in no time. So, there are things that aren't worth being up in arms over because you're going to make the money back, right? Like, it'll make you more money to just buy the card and not wait 2 weeks, right? Like, so.
Yeah. I think my Dennis Leonard I got for 25,000, and within a few days, he was up to close to 60, 70,000. And I think it's that fear of missing out. It's high risk, high reward, right, on those cards.
Yep.
You get them early for a little bit cheaper, and you hope they become meta. If they don't, well, it's the risk you take. But if they do become part of that meta, then for sure you're going to make those points back. Okay, let's go on to another card that people always look forward to. I always look forward to the cool Papa Bell card. And again, don't see a lot of dark blue in terms of his batting ratings. He's more that speed guy, multiple positions. Compare him to Pop Lloyd and his usability in perfect league play.
This is an interesting card. I was talking with a group of people right before the stream when this card was shown on stream, and we did not agree at all. We did not agree at all. So there's a few things to note here. Cool Papa Bell has always been like a 95 plus range outfielder, so he plays center. Not this year, which is fine, right? He's 88, so he's not that elite center field defense. He is, once again, elite base stealing and speed. He's a little lower than previous years, but still going to steal every base. The bat is improved. It's actually a lot better than previous years. So there's a lot of difference here with this cool Papa Bell versus some of the other profiles. I was actually decently satisfied with it. I was kind of like VR, maybe in a corner somewhere. He'll have a little bit more utility than some of the options. He'll pinch run. He'll play good defense in a corner. I don't really know. I think my kind of second impression on this is maybe the bat just isn't quite good enough. Really, left field is a very interesting position. We'll talk a bit more about it later, but left field was where I was thinking this card went. And then again, just with how many positions some of these new cards had, I wasn't expecting to see a bunch more options in left field. So I don't really know. Again, I probably just wouldn't put him on the team if he's just backing up all three outfield positions. I don't think being a pinch runner is that important. I'm very curious to see what this card does.
And if you are using him at the lower levels, I mean, that's great. That's fantastic. I'm sure he'll do okay at those lower league levels. Would you put him in a long relief mop-up role because he can pitch as well, and then use that extra slot to add another batter? What do you think about his pitching utility at the lower levels?
So this is also where we were kind of having a heated debate, where I was like, if this is a tight cap, I'm playing this card in left field, and I'm putting him at starting pitcher. If the 5 slot, right? And he's going to be better than like a free pitcher if it's no floor tournament, right? Just down to a 40. I don't know if I'd do that now. I'm trying to think, like, there's a lot of scenarios where you could maybe play Bob Allison in left field and then like spend 7 points on your 5th starter. And I think that's probably better than this card, just playing left field and the starting pitcher for the same amount of points. You also get a little more versatility. Not super sold on it. It's not a terrible starter. The problem is just like putting him in the bullpen. He's almost never going to start is kind of how the game works. Like if he's starting in the field, right? He would have to very much be the starting pitcher and then like come out every 5 days. I don't think he's quite good enough for that. But
good point.
Papa was 2A last year. This is the first time they've given him a lot of pitching ratings and really good stamina. He's never had good stamina before either, I think. So it's cool to see him get a little bit more credit because he was actually a pretty decent pitcher.
And wasn't last year Oscar Charleston the biggest two-way player? Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Out of the Negro League set, well, there were some pitchers that could hit, but I think of the hitters that could pitch, I believe Charleston was, unless maybe, I can't remember, I think Irvin or Dehigo also pitched okay. But yeah, Charleston was the big one. A lot of people ran Charleston in a cap somewhere, but it was also just a great card, so.
Oh, Bullet Joe? Yes, Bullet Joe was the...
Right, If we're doing pitchers that could hit, Bullet Joe certainly. There was a bunch of other lower tier options. There's a lot of pitchers that can hit, certainly.
All right, and I had to double check here because I thought I had put 2 of the same slides because it's the same card art. Cool Papa and Heavy Johnson, 2 completely different sized men, I believe. And Heavy Johnson is in the game now. Again, eye and power are low, high BABIP, high gap power, multiple positions. All of them, not the best. You're going to have meta that definitely are better to play in the outfield, shortstop, first base, catcher. again, it's kind of that Cool Papa and the Pop Lloyd situation, right? That although this is a better hitter card than those other two.
Yeah, I'm a little unsure on this card. I'll say for a few reasons. He shows up in a few places. Like when I'm just running, again, when I'm running numbers right now, it's super basic, super rudimentary. I wouldn't really take it. Everything big, grain of salt, right? But I don't know. Like, he's certainly, like, passable at pretty much everywhere he can play, probably except shortstop and center. But I'm not, like, eager to be like, oh, man, this is my first baseman or my catcher or my left fielder, right? And that's kind of the breaking point for me. Again, this card, he's a big deal in a mission, right? With the new mission values. Like, if you pull this card, he's going to be worth a ton of points, because he's worth 150 points, and some of the lower tier cards are worth less points now. So certainly a huge card to get. Probably not making a top tier league team, right? And again, tournaments, BABIP hitters just having a rough time right now. So
how about as a DH? Is it a card feasible that you could throw in as DH, or do you want more power out of your DH?
I would probably like a better bat. I think even in a world, like if we just ignore what's going on with BABIP right now, you're probably going to need a better bat. Like even the earlier example, like the Buck Leonard, I think would be like a much better option as a designated hitter kind of first base guy than this thing. Yeah.
Okay. So a couple more to go, and then Kidneys is going to bring up some other cards that weren't shown today as potential usable cards that you might want to consider. So this one here, Martin, shortstop. Again, it's almost like deja vu, right? Because we've seen these in 3-4 years version of the game. Even the card art is very similar. The ratings obviously change a little bit. Speed's good, just like a lot of the other Negro League players. Multiple positions, a lot of green. Is it same old as with the other players that you've talked about, or is there something unique about this card?
I think he's a little bit better. The question is he good enough, right? Like, is this, can we finally say this card starts somewhere? I'm a little unsure. I know my thing thinks this is a viable second baseman. We did, however, just get another second baseman that's rather good. Y'all might have heard of Jackie Robinson. He's like, my thing says he's kind of like pretty good in left field. He's certainly up there. But there's now some more cards that have just come out recently that I'm like a little bit more interested in playing. I think this is a solid card. Like if I had like a not so great perfect draft round, this is probably one of the better cards to take because you can play a whole bunch of positions pretty well with this card. It's actually a pretty solid defender, outfield and infield, just not at shortstop, right? And the bat is respectable. So I think this is like a very, very good perfect draft card. If you pull him and you lock him, you could probably play him on your league team somewhere. But I'm not like, this is the best second baseman in the game. So yeah.
Not the best at anything, but good at a lot of things. Kind of one of those kind of cards. Then we get to the missions. Oh, go ahead.
He's certainly a better toolbox, in my opinion. I think this is like the best toolbox card probably of this set in like league play, like high level. This is a card that maybe it does do enough things okay that I play it. Right?
And now we move to the missions. We won't spend a lot of time on these cards, but your general first impressions, are these missions worth chasing for? Are these cards that we see here worth investing the time and effort into chasing these missions? I know some people are completionists and they just want to finish every mission, but
there's a lot of those.
When you see the prize, yeah, when you see the prize, is it worth the investment? Short term, long term, what do you think?
There's a few of them, yes. There's a few of them, no, for me, right? So it's a little different depending on where we're looking. I don't remember. So the complete card, which you have on the screen now, Willie Wells, I think is pretty excellent at shortstop, at third base. He did get third base added. It was a mistake. It wasn't on the card. So he's fully trained at third base as well. He's an excellent player. The Rube Foster, also on the screen, I think is one of the better pitchers in the game right now. I think that card is excellent. Turkey Stearns I'm a little unsure. I know my thing says this is an elite left fielder. I'm a little unconvinced, but I do think he's one of the better left fielders in the game. I really don't like Jose Mendez. That's like the one card I'm not excited to like have to lock a bunch of cards to get, but I do need to get him to get Willie Wells. So, it's certainly, something I might do to get Willie Wells, I think.
And
So I
Willie
think
Wells
those are the
was
toppers. Okay.
yeah, Willie Wells was one of the best cards in the game last year, right up until the end.
He's still on my endgame team because I never got a Honus because I was broke at the end of the game. So I'm still running Willie Wells. I think a lot of more teams should have been running Willie Wells instead of Appling, depending on ballpark and preferences on defense and things like that. I think Willie Wells was really underplayed just because Appling came out at the same time. So no, I think overall, the toppers were pretty good choices. Again, not super thrilled on the Jose Mendez, but like Foster, Turkey, and Wells are excellent cards. All three of those really good cards. If you can get your hands on them, they'll probably all play somewhere for you in tournaments, in league, wherever. They're all really solid.
And in tournaments like perfect drafts, if you draft Turkey, he's going to be fully trained at all three positions, isn't he?
Yes, he will. And same thing in tournaments, right? So as long as the card not qualified to learn, but it has the position listed with a number, it will play fully trained in tournaments or perfect drafts, which is a big deal, right? Being able to flex Turkey, all three outfields, Willie Wells, short, third, first even, maybe. Being flexible with that as well is nice. Probably not left field, but you could do it. Like I said, I think Rube Foster is an elite pitcher. Probably in a lot of context. I think Rube Foster is really, really solid. Again, like I said, we're seeing you really can sacrifice a bit of home run as long as you kind of have like a decent amount to get more pitcher BABIP, and he's a pretty well-rounded card in that sense. So I'm pretty excited for that card too.
I mean, I haven't checked the fire polls or anything like that on how many of these, perfect cards and high diamond cards are being pulled so far, but it's always exciting. One of the fun things about pulling packs is seeing one of these pop up, even if it's a bronze, especially early on. Just like the platinum cards when they come out and you see that unique card art, it's like, yes, I got one of those specialty cards. So that's part of sets like this. We also had Dish give us a list, not a complete list, but a list of other players that are now in the game. Many of them very familiar from last year: Connie Rector, Petway, Kimbrough, Dink Mothel, players we've seen before. Now, again, we got to remember, guys, that Kidneys and I, we were coming right from Dish, and we didn't have a lot of time to investigate these players in a lot of detail. But Kidneys has looked at some of them, and he does have a few that he's kind of picked out as possible gems that you might want to consider. So I'm going to turn the screen sharing over to Kidneys here and have him go through some of these players that he thinks are worth chasing.
All right, hold on. I need like another monitor here. I got a bunch of things to navigate. All right, so I have a little short list here I've prepared of some cards I'm very interested in. Not necessarily that they're like game breaking or everything, but I think they're really good, and my model maybe thinks they're good, or if it's a pitcher, I'm just looking at it and evaluating it. No, Oliver is not in this set, Gabagoo, not this year. So we're going to talk about Dink Mothel first. What an interesting card, honestly. The eye, I think, is good enough that this is a pretty solid bat at the low tier, and he literally just does everything. And I think he's pretty good at everything. When I was looking at bronze stuff, I think this card showed up at like 6 of his 7 positions as like, you could possibly play this card here. I'm not sure. I can take a quick look and be like, maybe this is the correct place for him. Nope, that's the wrong screen. Sorry. Again, so many tabs. But if I filter to bronze and I'm looking, maybe Dink plays in left field. I think that might be the best place. You could play him at second base. It really depends on how you're prioritizing defense. I know some people are really big on second base defense. I think my thing here would say he's a good second baseman. It's also listing him as the best catcher. I don't quite believe it, but maybe. I mean, maybe this is a better bat than some of the other catchers. I probably would still stick with like Ernie, Witt, Ozzie, Virgil are really the cards I'm a big fan of. right now. I probably wouldn't put Mothel there, but just a ridiculously flexible card. I am very excited to see this card get played. All right.
Yeah, I liked him last year as well as a bronze card. So I think he's carried over to this year's versions just as good. I'm excited to get him in my bronze tournaments. That's for sure.
We're going to talk about an out-of-the-park historical favorite. Every year has been Bruce Petway. Bruce Petway, famous for great gloves. Some years, this is, I think, maybe the first year he doesn't really steal too well. I think in previous years he was an excellent base stealer. It's a little fun because I'm assuming there's been a lot more data that's been added to things like Baseball Reference over the past year or two from the Negro League. So what I'm expecting this is just a more accurate representation of how these guys played, which is really cool to see. I do think I'm not the biggest fan of Petway this year. I wasn't the biggest fan of Petway last year. I think even less so given the current environment. But I will say, if you're one of those people that's like, I have to play catcher ability, this is probably the better option of like Hundley and I don't even remember the other one because I think Redmond, because Redmond has 0 bat. The problem with this card is this not so great bat gonna be worth the glove? That's something you're gonna have to decide, right? I have it being pretty passable, but again, the BABIP mute is going to make it a little bit worse than my thing is expecting. But all in all, I think this is like, an option that's pretty reasonable for some people, depending on where they prioritize defense. We talked about that one. we're going to jump a little bit over here. There's a lot of pitchers I'm rather interested in. I don't know a lot more about pitchers. One of the other hitters I just wanted to highlight was Spotswood Poles.
And I'm curious about him because last year I believe he was an 80 gold and really elite defender, and one you wanted to get in your gold tournaments and even in your perfect draft tournaments if you could get him. Like, he was a great gold card, and now he's a 94. So I'm curious what you think because I haven't seen this card yet.
Yeah, he was excellent last year. Is like, I just want the best glove in center field. He stole a bunch of bases, still steals a ton of bases. Obviously, right now with what's going on, this is like, we're looking at this through a league environment. I think there's a very good chance you could play this in left field. One of the things to talk about is left field is rather weak right now compared to the competition, in my opinion. Center field has a bunch of juggernauts. Right field has even more good cards at the high level of gameplay. Obviously, don't play 14 power card in league would be my guess. But this card, I think, overall has a lot of merit. As somewhere in your league team in left field, probably, or depending on how the format shapes up going forward, right? If they do change things with BABIP, this will be an excellent card all over the place in low diamond and above. So. Next one, we got a lot of pitchers. There's a lot of pitchers I'm a little interested in. This Markham card, there's not like anything super standout. It's a bit splitty. I just wanted to point out this is a really respectable VR profile on a card. It doesn't do anything particularly amazingly, but it does say 83 pitcher BABIP, which right now has kind of become my primary focus. And all these stats, like 73 home runs, 71 stuff, 78 control, very respectable. Obviously, it's a reliever, so like we're talking open bronze. But I just thought it was an interesting one to point out. There's a lot of really fun ones around here. McDuffie, I spelled it McDufflel on my thing, but it's McDuffie. McDuffie is cool. Again, a little splitty, but if we're looking at the right side of the card, it's pretty solid. He also, I didn't see him show up anywhere, but just the pitcher that backs up 5 positions is always very fun. It doesn't look like his bat is incredible, but this is just probably a solid option and something somewhere. One of the ones I was more excited for, it did get shown on stream, but we didn't really talk about it with this Leon Bay card. I actually think this card is pretty good. This card, like, super excels at negating hits, right? We talked about that a bit earlier. Not only does pitcher BABIP reduce hits, stuff reduces hits by striking them out before they can get a hit. The home run is a little low. The control is fine. Stamina is a bit low. Probably more of a pen card. We'll probably get a big stuff boost in the pen. But just a respectable option, I think, in silver bullpens. Play this. Don't play Eric Bedard, like, if you have both options. I see a lot of people playing that Eric Bedard. He's okay. but I think this is a bit better. The gold ones are very fun. I think this card has a chance to be excellent. It's one of the highest PBABIP gold cards that also says like 80 home run and has control. So it's kind of like, it's almost like that Vita Blue that everybody's in love with, except the control and stuff are like swapped, right? So yeah, he's a great card. Excited to see this. There's some other fun gold ones too, like Drake. Bill Drake's gotten a card a few years in a row. Again, more of the top heavy side of things, but 90 home run, 85 PBABIP. Pretty good, right? I think this card is really, really solid. There's one more in gold I like, which is another returner, Slim Jones. Again, just like kind of Jessup, super high PBABIP, great control on this card. Passable home run, a little low on the stuff, but this card has a little bit more stamina than some of the others, so be very excited to get this one. I see it's already sold for 35,000. That's a big number for a gold card, but it's day one. People want their missions done. They always kind of have. There's some diamonds. Again, Ted Trent, like all these other cards, right? Passable home run, elite pitcher BABIP, kind of middling stuff control. This looks like a great low diamond option. Nip Winners is like a bigger Leon Day. I'm not like 100% sold on this one. Maybe the numbers are a little bit too low for a high diamond, but probably a pretty solid card. Certainly if I had to perfect draft this thing, I wouldn't be unhappy. Also looks like he hits actually quite well. I think they showed this. Did they show this one on stream? I think he was like 60 across the board hitting, so that's fine.
What do you think? Because I'm thinking back to last year and Double Duty Ratcliffe, Frank Grant. I remember were a couple of pretty decent cards last year. I think they dropped in terms of rating, 77, 79 this year. But maybe take a quick look and for those that play silver tournaments or silver, what you think of those two, Grant and Radcliffe.
So for Double Duty, he does show up as a catcher. It's a little hard because I can't really tell you exactly his split without opening a bunch of other screens. He does not show up as a very good catcher. He's like, apparently he's an extraordinarily good defender this year, with what seems to be a pretty weak bat. I think of like my top catching options that are coming up on this list, he's got the worst bat out of all of them, but it's made up for with his glove. So this is certainly a card that, like in a perfect draft, you could take this, make him catch, and it'd probably actually be pretty viable. The other one you mentioned was, did you say Frank White? No. Wait. Oh, I didn't remember we had two this. What was the other card you mentioned, Laptop Pound?
Frank Grant.
Oh, Grant. Thank you. Frank G. Frank Grant's very different looking this year from what I remember. I think this is like a really nice contact bat. If contact bats were the flavor of the month, he could be okay. Kind of my little bit of an issue with this card is it really just doesn't have enough defense that I want at second base for a silver card. Probably wouldn't play Frank Grant this year, but I do think Double Duty has a lot of merit, certainly at second base. Or not second base, at catcher, obviously. So.
And I think they're, just looking at that, the big list of names here, I think there are some new names, correct? Like I don't remember Candy Jim Taylor last year, Scantlebury. I mean, there's so many of them, I might have just missed them last year, but Pathias Russ, are those three names familiar to you?
I think we had Jim Taylor. I don't think he was Candy Jim Taylor. We did have Fats Jenkins last year. We had Pythias Russ last year. But I know Paul Sporer said there were 17 new people this year, which is huge out of a set of 69 guys. 17 new people. That's awesome. I'm pretty sure Mac Eggleston is a new one. That name is certainly a fun one. It's a little hard because sometimes they add or remove nicknames. Like some years he's Pop Lloyd, some years he's John Henry Pop Lloyd, and some years he's just John Henry Lloyd. So I think that was the case with Jim Taylor as they added Candy to his name. But
okay, that might have been what threw me off there. Mm-hmm. All right, well then we get to the the gold, the diamond, the perfect, these every single level that you can imagine here for the Jackie Robinson collection. And I have to say, I was wowed. I was like, my eyes were like, whoa, these are, Lou last year was an outstanding card that blew our socks off. But seeing these historical players as they should be on cards reminds me of, packs of baseball cards now, because we can see their faces. Just blows me away at how OOTP has evolved over the last few years. And I'm hoping that in future versions, all historical players will be able to get their real life faces in the game at some point. But we don't have to look at each one and the ratings of each one, but give us kind of your overall thoughts of the Jackie Robinson collection.
I think there's a lot of really good cards in here. There's some very interesting stuff. EVC, that list is a little wrong. We've definitely had Slim Jones before, unless we've had 2 Slim Jones, but most of those are new names. That's cool. We have Double Duty's brother. That's actually really cool. I guess cool. Candy Jim maybe is a new name, or maybe it's just that they added Candy. I'm a little unsure, but yeah, that's an awesome list of players, that weren't in here. Some of them with very cool cards. I'm not a huge on the Iron Robinson. Again, just Contact's not doing his thing right now. The bronze one, I think my thing is coming back to me like this card is awesome. But my thing, again, is not adjusted for BABIP entirely. So I'm looking at it and I go, whoa, that's a lot of numbers, VL. And then I'm like kind of dialing it back a bit. Not really sure where it stands, but certainly a very well-statted card. The silver one's rather interesting to me because I think it's listed as a third baseman, but it's really more of a second baseman just with how it plays. I think I had some notes and I missed that one. I'm not quite sure if that plays VL. I think it's a little bit just too splitty, too low overall. No, I missed it. Yeah, no, it's probably really good VL. Certainly don't play it VR, so if you want to play it, you're going to platoon it. The gold one has a bit more of a glove than the lower level ones, which is normally how it works. I don't think I'm like super excited to play the gold one anywhere, though. The bat's just a little bit too low for me. The diamond and the perfects look very good. They look very good. Funny enough, I know Jackie played so many positions as a lot of players did back then. It's a lot of fun. So the diamond being a left fielder was a little bit of a surprise to me. But I think it's a pretty solid card VR. The eye split, I just think, is too much VL for it to be playable. Does it show up at third base VR? No, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, it shows up at third base VR too. Maybe I think it's actually better probably as a third baseman VR. So you could certainly play this there. There's some other interesting options. I'm a huge Topps Dream Bracket Bregman believer at third base in Diamond. So maybe that's what I'd play over this. It's kind of like it has to be a format where you can platoon, right? You just can't play it straight up. The perfect Jackie, I think, pretty obviously delivers. I saw people memeing that it doesn't have power and eye, so I'm going to hate it. You're a little crazy. This card's really, really good. Maybe not something I'm like, I have to perfect draft this or play it in a tournament. Maybe you still do. There's some interesting notes here with this one, right? So not only is it like one of, if not the best glove we have at second base, it's also so fast. We've never seen a Jackie that steals as well as this one before. 97 speed, 117 stealing. This is one of those cards, right? I talk a lot about don't steal bases. Steal bases with this card. It's going to be great. I think in league play, the only maybe problem with this card is it's the best left fielder and second baseman, probably. And so it's like, what do you value more? I think somebody was sending me a few messages just kind of like, hey, I think I might even play this in left field. My thing would kind of prefer Turkey, at least VR. So I think it's a little closer. I think I'd probably play this at second base. But their argument was like Tony Phillips is a great card, and the gap between Jackie and Phillips is different than like Jackie and another left fielder. But this has to play on a league team. Excellent card, can have a very long time, this will be a great card. It'll hit great contact with Babbitt Void Case, so it'll get on base, steal those bases, incredible defense.
Do you think, Kidneys, do you think this is the last Jackie card we see this cycle, or do you think there will be another one maybe in the PTCS, or what do you think? Do you think we're going to see any other Jackie? It does say peak on it, but I mean, we've seen them release other ones.
So it's interesting, right? In previous years, right, I was very close with Jardine, and I kind of knew how he worked a little bit just from playing the game for the past 4 years, right? And it's like, I don't know how Paul Sporer works, and maybe because the card says peak, this is the last one we're getting, or maybe we'll get more. I don't know. I'm okay either way. I'm always down for more Jackie Robinson. This is such a fun, thematically fun set. The pictures on the cards are incredible. Card art's incredible. Almost all these cards, I'm excited to see what they can do, kind of outside the iron, but I mean, it's an iron card, right? Iron cards are funny that way. These are all excellent cards, and just such a cool thing. We have these partnerships this year. I think there's 2 or 3 more of them with individual players that I'm super excited to see who else we got. Super cool to have Jackie Robinson in the game like this. It's great.
And as B. Mahler says, whereas Page, but remember, this is only Series 1. So we are going to see a second group come out. Yeah, and Page and Josh Gibson. And
yes, this is listed as Negro League 1. Very important. There's a huge number of Negro League names we're missing. No Charleston, no Gibson, no Page, right? And many, many more that I'm sure we'll see as the year goes on, right? So I'm excited. I love these. Are some of my favorite sets. They're such cool players. The history is incredible. It's really great to see this, and also to see the show, finally following in Out of the Park's footstep, adding that to their game. It's great to see more people get to learn about these players. All incredible stories, and it's awesome to see that. I love it. So,
and my early guess would be with Series 2, we're probably going to see Oscar Charleston as one of kind of the mission big rewards, like we did with Willie Wells, and maybe Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson are the overall toppers for completing both series, or they leave them for much later in the cycle.
Well, it's really interesting because, also, that would assume maybe we get 3 of these. Maybe it's not just 2, right? So, then where do cards fit? And I was a big fan, I think, last year of putting Gibson and Page in the Hall of Fame set, kind of where they belong. And, there's story and history, the cards in all the places, but I liked that. I think really for the first time in Out of the Park doing this, we said, these are the greatest baseball players of all time, and we want to honor that and show that. And, we know they were incredible players, and I just like that we put them on that pedestal. I thought it was an excellent gesture. I really did.
And Lowry has a question. Did Ray Dandridge make it into the first set? So was he one of the ones that Dish didn't show today?
We do not have a Ray Dandridge card. So again, that's another, there's probably plenty of names I'm forgetting. We've gotten so many of these cards over the years that are this is a guy we're gonna certainly get at some point, right? So,
and as a Zoomer, have you watched the 42 movie?
This is a pretty recent movie. I have seen the movie. I did a watch long in Yuka's server. It was an excellent movie. It's very, very good.
Yes. If you haven't caught this movie and you're a fan of baseball, a fan of OOTP, this is the week to watch it. With Jackie Robinson Day coming up, 42, catch it on your Hulu, your Netflix, wherever you may have access to it, but well worth the couple of hours watching this movie. Just a great job all around by the actors, the cinematography, the storyline, just a wonderful, wonderful baseball movie. Okay, well, let's get to our card of the sets, and so many to choose from, and I haven't looked at all of them. Of course, the Jackie Robinson cards are going to be cards that are probably the best cards of the set. But is there a card, a gem, something? I mean, you mentioned Dink Motho earlier. Is there someone that you just look at and go, hey, for the rating, for the number on the card, this is a really good card?
I do think it's Dink Motho. It's almost less of I'm completely blown away by Dink Motho, and it's more, this card is so fascinating. It's so rare. I download the card thing, I put it in my thing, and it's this card plays, 16 different spots in the lineup, but, either way. And I'm like, it does what now? And I'm not 100% sold that this is like the end all be all bronze card. I just think it's so fun that I have to say it's my favorite card. I think if I was going for best card, certainly the Jackie, but outside of that, I think the I'm blanking on the name, the pitcher topper, the one I liked. I think he was it Rube Foster? Or was he
Rube, yeah.
Okay, if it was Rube, it was Rube. Rube is excellent. I think there's a chance he might come away as the best non-Jackie card of today. Very, very good card. So
people will be chasing that Rube then, completing that mission. For me, again, I was putting together the slides and all that. I didn't really have a time to look at all the cards. So I'm just going to pick the first one that they showed today, and that was the Buck O'Neil card. Again, a quick look, silver card, not splitty at all, can play him, first base, I guess, at the very low levels, DH if you want to. Again, not the greatest card, doesn't have the power, but like I said, I didn't have time to look at them all as carefully as some people. So yes, Buck O'Neil as the card.
I think if we get like a low tier dead ball, like it'd have to be like a silver 1919 tournament. This card is pretty respectable. It has the BABIP in the eye, little low on the defense, but you could probably do it if you wanted to.
Yeah, I would have no problem running it in, like I said, Rookie League, Stone League.
Yeah.
And just seeing how it makes out. So there we have all the cards that, we could fit in to the discussion today, guys. I know people in the chat are talking about best baseball movie. Since we talked about 42, I'll give a couple that I love. I love The Natural with Robert Redford. Just that down to earth feeling. Field of Dreams obviously is a top 3, but I also like the White Sox scandal one. I can't remember the name of it now. 8 Men Out, I think it was, with Charlie Sheen. Just because I like Shoeless Joe Jackson, he's one of my favorite baseball players of all time, and just the story behind the controversy. Was he involved? Was he not involved? Was he involved? Not knowing what was going on. How about you in terms of baseball movies, the ones that stand out for you?
I'm going to take the cop out. Nobody in chat said it yet. I'm a little disappointed. It's got to be Moneyball. I'm sorry. Moneyball is such a good movie, even for people who don't know anything about baseball. It's an excellent watch. I love Moneyball. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's so good.
I have not seen that one yet.
Really?
I have not.
Wow.
I have not seen the Brad Pitt Moneyball. It's one of those that are on the list, but I just have not seen that yet. And I wish they would make more baseball movies. It's been a while. We had that run in the 90s and 2000s with Major League and some of the comical ones. Bull Durham was there, but it just seems lately like I know there's a Ty Cobb movie with the actor Tommy Lee Jones, I think, played Ty Cobb. I'd like to see another one, a more modern one, now with the new, cameras that they have. I'd like to see a really good Babe Ruth modern story. There's just so much potential for good baseball movies, and we haven't seen a lot. And I don't know why. I don't know why Hollywood is not focusing on the baseball movies as much as they used to.
It would be fun to see some more. There's some excellent stories about there with a long history of baseball that'd be very fun to tell. It's funny because I will admit, I'm over here you didn't watch Moneyball. I haven't seen half the movies that have been listed by you in chat, probably more than half. It was a big thing with me in older folk. I don't really watch a lot of movies. I've missed a ton of classic movies over the years, and people like to hound me a bit for it. So
all right, well, we are on our last break, and right after the break, we are going to do the showdown. So we need a few minutes here. Kidneys and I are going to get our stream or our program set up, OOTP, and then we're going to open those packs and see if we can get some of those Negro League players. We'll be right back in 3 minutes. All right, we are back, and we've got a few more minutes to go here before we finish off today's show. And again, a big, huge shout out, big thank you to YourKidnies for giving up his time and giving us his analysis on the cards today. Such a A great learning experience. At least it is for me, and I hope for everyone watching today. You've picked up a few hints and tips and tricks about how you can improve in your perfect team experience. And again, if you haven't followed Your Kidneys yet, like I said, what are you waiting for? It doesn't take you very long. Just go and click on the link and give this young gentleman and OOTP mind a follow. And yeah, we will hear his rant in just a little bit. But it is time. It is time for the Generation Showdown. Yes, the race to 10. I took game 1, 17-9, and we'll see if Kidneys can come back in this game here. So the way that we play this game, if you're new, we're each going to open 10 standard packs. And for every unique card that's pulled, they will be worth a certain amount of points. So if Kidneys or I pulls a perfect or limited edition card, 7 points. Diamond card will be 5 points. A card from today's set will be 4 points. Gold card 2. And we will spin the wheel to find out what our mystery value is. And these are stackable. So if Kidneys pulls a Negro League gold card, he will get 4 points for the card from today and 2 points for having the gold card. So I guess the best card he could pull is a perfect Negro League player. That would be 11 points. So yeah, kind of fun. And Kidneys and I are working on a bet, kind of a little side bet that the loser will have to do something or, pay off the bet. And yeah, we're still working out the details there, but let's spin and find out what our mystery value is. And on the wheel, we have some other areas. Kidneys bonus point, lap bonus point, Kidney wins if it's a tie, lap wins if it's a tie, and Kidneys extra pack to open or lap extra pack to open. So let's see, let's spin the wheel. Today's mystery value card is...
Oh, so close.
So close.
7.
All right. So, yeah, we'll have to go kind of slow here. It's obvious to find the Negro League cards, but for those 70s, silver card, a little tougher to get. So any silver card that is 70 will get that person an extra 1 point. Are you psyched up, Kidneys? Are you ready to open those packs?
I need some revenge from last week. It was not close last week at all. You absolutely crushed me. I have some great ideas. We were talking about maybe making the other person wear something really funny. I'm pretty down for whatever you'll throw at me. I have some excellent ideas for what I can make you put on for stream. So I'm down for that. But I got to catch up if I want to win. So let's do it.
Okay, so 10 standard packs. So let's put it on the screen here. And how many do you have? Do you have an extra? I guess we don't need an extra one if it's a tie.
I have 10 exactly.
So. Okay, so let's rip them.
Let's do it.
Come on, irons.
Nothing
okay, so
here.
Just 1 sec. Let me make my screen a little bigger. Look for those 70s.
Yep.
All right, so there's pack 1.
All irons and bronzes. Pack 2.
Looking good. Looking good, Kidney. I like it.
Bad. We have a 71, which is not worth anything because it's 1 point off. Oh, come on. 75. I don't know. I'm not a Coldplay fan anymore. We can keep going. 2 bronzes.
Ooh, no score on the bottom of the 5th.
Ooh,
Pack number 6. We got a gold.
On the board with 2 points. 2 points.
Okay. That was pack 5, right? Yeah.
No, that was pack 6. This is pack 7.
Oh.
And we're still at 2 points.
Hey, all it takes might be a pitcher's duel here.
Pack 8, nothing. Pack 9, nothing. Oh,
and the final pack.
This is worth a lot of points, though. It's from the April Fools. Final pack, nothing. Final score, 2 points. Oh, man. That's brutal.
2 points. Well,
that's pretty bad.
You know, like when a team gets blown out in a baseball game and the reporters go and they interview the players of the losing team. Kidneys, what do you think about your performance today?
You know, I think we gave it our best shot at the end of the day. We didn't want it enough. You know, if we had wanted a bit more, maybe we could have come out with the victory here at the end of things. But we're hoping for our pitching to be able to hold them down in the next run here. And maybe we'll do better next time when we want it more. Give 110%. You know, all those big coach buzzwords, right?
Okay. Well, hey, it could be like a 2-0, 2-1 game. So we'll see. So I'm looking for number 70. I'm looking for a gold. I guess if I get a diamond, it's game over.
Any card from today is game over. Any single one is game over. There's an iron Jackie. There's an iron card that says game over on it. So.
All right, let's do this. Number 1, pack number 1.
Not yet.
Nothing yet. Pack 2. Uh-oh. Easy Axel, can you help a guy out a little bit? Pack 3. Ooh, pack 4.
No.
5.
Crazy. Oh.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I'm in the game now. That was 5. We're calling a timeout. I'm allowed to call timeout? I didn't know that. Maybe you should do what our friend Vulcan does. Whenever he's pulling bad, he goes back to the main menu and he starts from a new pack again. You want to try that?
Well, I wouldn't do that to you. That would be an unfair advantage. Okay, we got 5. 5 down, 5 to go. Surely I can get at least a gold. Hey!
Oh, tie game. Tie game.
If this is a Negro League player, it's game over, buddy. It's game over right here. Come on, gold.
No. Okay.
Okay, 4 packs to go. 4 more. No 70. 3 to go.
2 more.
2 more to go.
Oh! 70! Wow. Let's go, dude. Let's go big part of the next pack. You can make it not close. Just pull something huge in the next pack right now. Let's do it.
I haven't been nervous opening packs like I was today. All right. Man. And the last pack is
nothing.
Okay.
Oh, wow, a 1-point game.
So Dave Steve comes on in relief in the 8th inning to pull out the 1-point victory. So good stuff there, Kidneys. Good stuff. Let me get back to my main screen. So the Hound with a 2-0 series lead in the race to 10. So one more game in my park, and then we go back to your park for 3 games. So maybe you'll have a little bit of success pulling second.
Home field advantage is a thing in out-of-the-park baseball. So maybe I just need that 10% buff I'm going to get for being the home team. So I think that might be the difference here.
Well, I've primed you up now. I've primed you up. You've just suffered your second loss. You must just be raging with anger, and you need to vent. It's hot in your room. It's like 90 degrees. Your face is all red. It's time for the Kidneys 2-minute rant. So let me put the timer on the screen. Take a few deep breaths. Let me know when you're ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. I'm going to today talk about caps a little bit. A lot of time when people are new, they're a little scared of cap tournaments. Cap tournaments are so much fun because you only need a very small handful of expensive cards. You can fill in a lot of back. The problem I see with a lot of cap teams is people don't do stars and studs, or stars and duds. Studs and duds, studs and duds. And what they'll do is they put in a bunch of filler or like some less important positions. So I'm going to talk a little bit, prioritize your points and caps. Play the positions that are going to play more or going to actually come out less often and play more, right? So like a lot of times, unless you're paying up for like a Chris Hoyles or a Mike Napoli, play 2 iron catchers. They're going to rotate all the time because they get tired a little faster. That's an important thing. Don't spend on your bullpen. Like almost ever in Modern, it's a little bit okay, but your 5th starter is still going to throw more most of the time than your best bullpen arm. So if you're playing like a diamond reliever, like a Devin Williams, and then like you have like a bronze as your 5th starter, swap them, right? Like just be very efficient about how you use their points. I'm seeing too many teams not even care about any of this. Your starters are going to play the majority of the games. Don't spend 70 points on a silver and then put like, an 80-point gold card starting somewhere unless he's Mike Schmidt, because Mike Schmidt's great. So really just try and min-max. A lot of times perfect cards, the good ones, are worth a lot more points than the 100 number would suggest, right? Which is why it's so important to min-max. When you're paying down and you're putting those backups in, prioritize guys with good eye and good defense. They're some of the most efficient things you can purchase on a hitter right now. Pitchers, it's a little different because if you spend 5-10 points on a lot of iron pitchers, you get some much better arms. So maybe spend on some of those in moderns. But like if this is 1980 and your pitchers throw 160 pitches, stop spending on your bullpen.
Excellent. All right. Well, kidneys. Whew. What a show, huh? What a series of cards. I'm sure you're going to be up all night analyzing them, taking a look at them. And next week, when we reflect back on the week that was, maybe you'll have a few surprises for us from today's set. It was, it was quite, I feel like I've worked a full day already. And I know both of us were up late last night, and it can take a toll. So before you go, though, kidneys, let me go back and go back to my main screen here. We have something to announce. That's finally,
don't we?
We do. We have something to announce. So I'll give you the honors. What would you like to announce?
So you mentioned staying up late last night. Well, we'll probably be some of us staying up very late this time next week, because brought to you by Laptop Hound, the wonderful Laptop Hound, once again, we're doing another affiliate marathon starting next week on Wednesday at 1 p.m. We're streaming all the way almost through Thursday afternoon. Got some awesome streamers and content lined up for you guys. You guys are going to have a great time. I may be doing 3 different streams if you include this one on Thursday. We'll see how it goes. But this is going to be a lot of fun. Huge shout out to Laptop Hound. Thank you for organizing this once again. I loved the last one. The last one was a great time. So make sure you guys are watching Out of the Park Perfect Team, or just Out of the Park General 24 on Twitch next Wednesday, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. So the same time this show started, but a day earlier next week. We got an awesome lineup of affiliates, new and old, for you guys to watch. So very excited for this.
Wow, you said that much more enthusiastically than I can after having 5 hours sleep. So yes,
I got you.
It's bigger, badder, better, whatever other B word you can put in there for alliteration. But so excited to have not all the affiliates, but many of the affiliates part of this program stepping up. We've got, everyone from Gorgo to EVC to Kidneys to myself to Tetsuiji, Yuka Karazaman.
I avoid Kazami. I think it's Yuka and Kazami. I
Okay,
just say
okay.
Yuka. I'm really bad with names. Everybody who's watched my stream knows I'm terrible with names. I just go by
Yes,
Yuka.
and new streamers, Dr. Dynastic will be on. Might even have the EMLB commish do a segment as well. Last time we did 12 hours. We're going at least 30. 30 straight hours. Book the day off work. There's going to be giveaways every couple of hours, even in the middle of the night when I might have to fill in or Kidneys might have to fill in, because we don't want this to stop. We don't want any gap. We want it to go a full at least 30 hours. So I will be doing the kickoff 1 hour show next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm hoping to have some of the affiliates on with me to help kick it off. And then we're going to go right through Wednesday into Thursday morning, into Dish's new content release, into the Hawk Report number 4, and maybe even some streamers after that. In fact, I know there's going to be some streamers after that too. So, woo! Yes, if we thought today was tiring, this is just a warm-up. This is preseason for what we're going to go through.
What Rob Deere in the headlights implies, which is, what's the big deal? It's just half of a Tranquil Hill Farms normal stream. I think that's pretty great. We have to kind of band together to kind of come to the collective power level that just Tranquil Hill has himself. The man is a legend. He's great. So.
Yes. Yeah, he is. He is the Energizer Bunny. And again, that might not be a Zoomer reference, but the Energizer Bunny that just keeps on going and never seems to run out of energy. Just keeps on working. So any closing thoughts about, this week or your next stream or anything like that? Anything that you want to kind of end off with here, Kidneys, before I do the giveaway?
Well, you guarantee get me on Wednesday, which is an improvement. If you're a YourKidnies follower, you know my streams are rather infrequent. This content set was very, very fun. A lot of good cards, a lot of really strong cards too. That to me makes it a lot of fun. I know people otherwise. I've had people tell me people all the time say fun when they mean a card is bad. I'm not saying it because of that. I think there's some great cards in the set. The missions look pretty accessible. I think there's a lot of good options in these missions, how to complete them. I was looking over structures of them, things. Thank you again for having me on. Thank you for doing the affiliate stream, doing most of the work behind a lot of these things. You've been a pleasure to work with so far, so I really appreciate that. This is great. Thank you to everybody for being here. You guys are what let us do this, and why it's fun is the chat and all that stuff, right? And helping new people out. So always a pleasure. I look forward to being back here next week again. Yeah. And I got to enter the giveaway. So when I finally win, everybody can spam rigged, because it will be the most rigged giveaway of all time. So.
All right. Well, yeah, feel free to stay on notes. We draw the winners here, Kidney. We'll give you guys a couple more minutes here. Exclamation enter or exclamation ticket. So get your entry in. Over 55 of you in already. And again, first name drawn will be for 10 standard packs. Second name for 5 standard packs. And next week, we're going to be giving away packs and more during the marathon. So like I said, book the day off, schedule an appointment and watch 30 hours of OOTP streamers. Coffee is going to be on for sure next week. I am back on Monday as always. So, the weather and, international holidays, and we look at Google Earth, and we'll throw in a little bit of OOTP. So I am back on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Again, marathon coming up in less than 1 week. Maybe even EDC on the road in Chicago.
Ooh,
Chicago stream. Maybe even right at the ball game. He can have his phone and he can stream right from there. Although I don't know how legal that would be, being in a ballpark.
Yeah, the whole MLB games must not be disseminated in any form. I think that might apply to that one.
Yeah. But we have OOTP Go. So, hey, you can play the game anywhere now. Thank you guys so much for watching, supporting the channel. Go subscribe, go follow YourKidnies on Twitch. Give him a little bit of love, because man, this guy puts in a lot of hours. I don't know where he finds time for Marvel Snap, but he is like Tranquil Farms, just a little bit more behind the scenes, I think. And again, be kind to yourself, be kind to others that are out there. Tough times for many people in this world, and give them support. Go shovel a sidewalk. Yeah, in Canada, we still have snow. Go Go sweep a sidewalk if you're in Phoenix or something like that. Go take out the garbage, help someone with groceries, give to a food bank, do what you can to help people out. It is a great day for baseball, isn't it, Kidneys? Every day is a great day for baseball.
A great day for baseball.
So this has been episode number 3 of the Hawk Report, our Back to the Future episode. And that's how I'm feeling right now. Wide-eyed and just kind of a little bit out of it. So we're going to give you another 30 seconds for the giveaway here, guys. 81 entries so far. Exclamation enter, exclamation ticket to get in. That's huge numbers. 81. There's 219 people in here, and almost half of you are involved in this contest. So excellent to see. Well, it is time, guys. I will go and raid into one of the other affiliates, so don't go anywhere. Don't disconnect. I will put you into another great stream. We'll see you Monday. Thanks, Kidneys. Have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend. Get some sleep. See you next episode.